morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you all today?
Good.
I'm so glad that we've had such a wonderful turnout. My name is Amanda Kochak. I've been the one that's been emailing you and answering your questions about the industry meeting. I'm so glad that you all turned out today. Today we have a packed agenda. So to start out, I'm just going to go through the agenda. First off, we'll have some updates from Alexa Jeffress. Then Robin Thompson will go through the new Section 8 renewal guide. We'll have some tracks updates with Jim Raymond. Then we'll talk a little bit about the Connect Home initiative. Sapna Talati will be talking about that. Then we have a section on the Affirmative Fair Housing Marketing Plan, so I know that'll be really exciting for a lot of you. Nathaniel Hill from FHEO will be talking about that. Then we'll go on and discuss the VAWA notice. So we've got a lot of information on that, and Maya Stevens will be discussing that. And finally, we'll have an 8BB letter of interest announcement, and that'll be with Julie Eklund. And then for the last 30 minutes, we'll have a meet and greet, so then you'll get to meet your HUD account executives and branch chiefs. Okay, and now I just wanted to make a quick announcement about questions. So if you have any questions throughout the presentations, because we have such a packed agenda, we're going to ask you to write your questions on a little index card. So at the end of each of the rows, I put some index cards. And then I think there's some pens, and if you need a pen, we can get you one. You can just raise your hand. So after you write your question down, you can just pass it back down to the end. And then after each presentation, Anna Bascom, she's going to come walk around and pick up the note cards. And towards the end, if we have time, we'll get to your questions. Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to pass it off to Alexa Jeffress.
Thanks, Amanda. And can we just give Amanda a quick round of applause? She has done such an incredible job working so hard to pull this meeting together, and I can see looking out at this sea of beautiful shots. Of all this HUD asset management information, that she's really been doing a great job. So thank you, Amanda. And another addition on the questions, we might not have time to get to everybody's questions, so if you could just be sure to write your email address too, so in the event that we don't get to answer questions live, we can follow up and send you an answer later on. All right, so I'm just going to talk for a few minutes today, because as Amanda said, we do have a lot of great content to get through today. And at the end, we're going to try something a little different. We're going to do a mixer and a meet and greet. Our own Gwen Kelleher has prepared a bunch of wonderful homemade treats. And we'll have some refreshments, and we really just want everybody to encourage everyone to stay for 30 minutes and just get a chance to mix and mingle with your HUD staff. We have a lot of new HUD staff here. During the past year, had a lot of new team members join our team, and we want to make sure that we start to build those relationships. So if everybody doesn't have a name tag yet, it looks like everybody pretty much does have a name tag. But if you don't have a name tag, before the end of the presentations or at the end of the presentations, if you could please just go up to the table by the front and write down your name and the organization you're with. And the HUD staff will do the same. All right, so I think everybody knows me for the most part. I'm Alexa Jeffress. I'm the Asset Management Division Director here in San Francisco. I'm just going to give you a few quick updates on what's been happening at HUD over the last few months since the last time we all got together. So I'm going to talk about leadership quickly, what's happening with the fiscal year 18 budget, continuing resolution, and then a brief update on our performance-based contract administrator contracts. So we've had a lot of changes in leadership. I think as everybody is familiar with by now, Secretary Ben Carson was confirmed and started with the agency earlier this year. Since then, we've brought on, we're starting to bring on new leadership in Washington, D.C. as well. So David Eagles is the Chief Operations Officer, and he's been serving as HUD's Acting Deputy Secretary. Janet Goldrick, who's been with the agency a long time, is going to be a Senior Advisor to the Acting Deputy Secretary, so that provides some continuity from the last administration. Dana Wade has recently joined us as well. She's the General Deputy Assistant Secretary, and we have Len Wolfson as Chief of Staff. And then here in Region 9 in San Francisco, we actually did just, we just brought on our new regional administrator, Jimmy Strassner. So he's been with the agency now a few weeks, so we're really excited to have him on board with the team too. So those are all the executive changes happening at HUD, and I think there will continue to be more changes over the coming months. On the budget side, as I think everybody probably heard, we did pass a continuing resolution earlier this year. What that does is it continues the fiscal year 17 funding levels through December 8th. So as you're probably familiar, in the last few years, we've had a series of continuing resolutions, so that continues to be the situation. Congress will determine the program appropriation levels and policy changes, but for now, the good news is what that does is it continues the funding levels. So what we're expecting and what we're seeing is that our contracts, our Section 8 contracts, and as well as our service coordinator grants and our multifamily programs are continuing to be fully funded. So that's the situation now. On the funding side, some of you may have seen some delays in your contract funding due to the end of the fiscal year. That's a routine shutdown that happens at the end of every fiscal year. They did just reopen the funding systems and the books this week, actually. So you should start to see that flowing again. And if you do continue to see delays or if you have questions about funding, I encourage you to contact your HUD account executive. And then a little more good news is that the budget that was proposed includes $30 million for systems and process upgrades, so that's been a bright spot. We're optimistic that that this administration seems to have a focus on improvements to our technology and our systems, which has really been a theme that we've been focusing on during our multifamily transformation. So hopefully you're all starting to see the benefits of that. It was a lot of change with our new procedures and our electronic email boxes and all the changes we put in place, but I think hopefully you can all see the benefits of it as we move forward and leverage technology more. There really isn't a lot of new news here, and I see my PBCA friends sitting in the front row. So the procurement effort for the PBCA services is ongoing. As you know, it's been ongoing for a while, and the existing PBCAs are going to continue to provide services under their existing ACC contracts, so there should be no interruption to service, and awards for the new contracts should be awarded next year, which is calendar year 18. That's the latest news, and there's no new news. Just a brief reminder on our communication protocols. I mentioned changes with technology. Hopefully everybody, show of hands, everybody's used to using the central email box now. You using it? Yes, nodding, smiling, good. Okay. So yeah, this is a change that's happening across the country as part of our multifamily transformation, part of our streamlining efforts. And I think it's been really successful here in our region. So I think everybody's familiar with this now. We've set up a central mailbox. So for all of the 6 states that we serve out of the San Francisco Regional Center now, everyone in these 6 states here, Alaska, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Nevada, and Oregon, you can submit all of your asset management servicing requests to one email box, and that's sf.incoming@hud.gov. And what that does is it allows us on our end to make sure that we're properly tracking and logging and routing all the requests. So when your request comes in, it's routed to your assigned account executive, and it lets us have that visibility and accountability so we can know where all the requests are at. A little change, too, for those of you that do interact with our funding staff. Primarily, this will affect those of you with crack contracts on your properties, your 202-811 capital advances. We're trying out the new process with our funding specialists as well. So just like there is an incoming mailbox for your account executives, we've set up an incoming mailbox for our funding requests. And that's sffunding@hud.gov. And you'll see this rolled out. We'll send out announcements, but really it'll affect those of you who are submitting contracts directly to HUD that are signed. So you'll start seeing requests coming out of this mailbox with instructions that you can just go ahead and send it back to that funding mailbox, and we can make sure it gets routed to the right HUD funding staff. Just the branch chiefs by state. When we have our meet and greet mixer today, all of our branch chiefs, almost all of our branch chiefs, I think 5 out of 6 of our branch chiefs are here today. So we do have our whole leadership team in place. We've had everyone in place for almost a year now. And we've set up our new territory, our 6 states that we cover for asset management servicing. We've assigned it so that each branch chief manages really 2 states, or we split California into Northern and Southern California because we have such large inventory there. But so it gives you a sense of continuity and a sense of what your escalation path is and who you can contact if you have properties in these states. So Ramona Mitchell services properties in Oregon and Idaho. Erin Ferguson is Idaho and Northern California, and Ramona and Erin are sitting right over there. If you have properties in these states and you want to say hi, I encourage you to do it at the mixer. Marie Maswi has properties in Alaska and Northern California. Marie is over at the table. Next to her is Jim Raymond, who his team has properties in Nevada and Southern California. And then finally Sylvia Cuellar, who unfortunately wasn't able to be with us today. Her team services properties in Hawaii and Southern California. So I'm going to end by just talking briefly about the situation with the California wildfires. So I think as everybody who's been in the state of California, and it's been on the news nationally as well, knows, we've been really dealing with these devastating wildfires, primarily in Northern California, but also in Southern California over the last several weeks. What that means from a HUD perspective is that 8 counties in California have now been officially declared presidentially declared disaster zones, or PDD counties. This is a list of those counties, so that includes Butte, Lake, Napa, Mendocino, Sonoma, Yuba, Nevada, and Orange counties. So 7 of the PDD counties are in Northern California, 1 is in Southern California. What that means from a HUD side, we've been very, very lucky, I feel, because we've been doing outreach to all of our properties, and so far we haven't heard that there's been any property damage or loss of life to any of our HUD multifamily properties in any of the PDD counties, which, given the scope of the devastation, really is fortunate, I think. But what it means for all of you is that since these have been presidentially declared disaster zones, we will be doing outreach to all of the properties in each of these counties. So if you haven't been contacted already, and you have a property in one of these counties, you will be contacted in the next week or so by a HUD account executive who will just be reaching out to you to check in to confirm what the situation is with your property, if there have been evacuations, if you've had any insurance claims, or dislocated tenants, or any issues that you need to report to HUD. We're also going to be gathering information about vacancies as part of our disaster response here at HUD. We're looking at opportunities to provide housing availability for people that may be displaced by these disasters, and not just by the disasters here in California, but also by the disasters happening elsewhere in the country, such as the hurricanes in Florida and Puerto Rico and Texas. So just a heads up that if you haven't been contacted, you may be contacted by a HUD account executive. They'll be asking you some questions, and there'll be a short form that you have to fill out. So there's also some helpful resources there. We could share this. We'll share this presentation after the meeting today. And if you do have any issues or challenges with your property in this area, these are the way that you can contact FEMA or the American Red Cross. And also our PBCA partners. I know Leanne is here somewhere, Kahi in Northern California. There she is. Have been doing outreach to all the properties that are in the PBCA portfolio, so all the properties with subsidized HAP contracts. And they've been sharing information by email blast about what to do if your ability to comply with any HUD inspection, like a REAC inspection or a management occupancy review, has been affected by the fire. You can get in touch with your PBCA, with Kahi, or with your HUD account executive, and we can talk you through that process. All right, that is all I have. And I'm going to hand it off to Robin Thompson, a senior account executive, and she's going to talk to you about the new Section 8 renewal policy guide that came out this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Lex. Go. Okay, so the new renewal guidebook, it's the old guidebook revised. You're probably thinking to yourself, gosh, didn't they just do that? We actually did just 2 years ago. But it's kind of a living document. We're trying to keep up with things because it's, as you all know, it's complicated stuff, and it does evolve. So this one came out June 30th. It's effective for any HAP renewals after July 21st. So if any renewals ongoing, we'll be using this guidance. Okay, so what's new in the revisions guidebook? Okay, the Chapter 9 has been completely revised. Has anybody here already read Chapter 9, the revisions? It's for rate comparability studies. It's pretty comprehensive. Don't get mad at me, I didn't write it. We will talk about it. It's also 20 pages longer, so there you go. Everybody's excited about that. There is also 27 clarifications throughout the guidebook besides the revision of Chapter 9. And if you think that's bad, just remember that the August 7th, 2015 revision had 125 changes. So this is really kind of a revision light. Okay, is Chapter 9 better? Yes, it is. The applicability rules are far more comprehensive, clear, and concise. So when we're talking, and as I said, Chapter 9 is all about rent comparability studies. Everything you want to know about rent comparability studies and what it has. If you have trouble sleeping some night, pull up Chapter 9 on HUD clips, snap those eyelids shut right away. And also, though it does include a new, they were calling it a roadmap, it's basically a table, but it clearly outlines the process and who's responsible for that process. So here's this and the owner's appraiser does this, and then it comes here and this person does that, and so on and so forth. Okay, so very comprehensive. There's also a very comprehensive list of the owner's package, what we're looking for. So there shouldn't be any ambiguity about whether or not your package is complete, and the appraiser, what they're responsible for, so to make it more complete. But wait, there's more. This is the procedures for the mandatory market rent threshold. This is covered in section 9-14, and it's all new. And we're all going to get acclimated to this pretty quickly. It's going to require appraisers to compare the project median rents, that's your current rents, to the, quote, median gross rent by zip code tabulation area, which is a tabulation of the U.S. Census Bureau. So we're going to start tying the rents to the zip code areas. Okay. If the rents are higher, are 140% of the threshold rents, and the threshold rents, as I said, are going to be based on the zip code tabulation. Okay. Then there's going to be a process that's going to be very similar to what we now call markup to market, which is option 1. Okay. Even if you're not doing option 1, there's going to be a process similar to that. And it is complicated, but it also, we have very comprehensive instruction in there. There's, like I said, there's tables, there's examples, everything in the guidebook. They really did a good job. I mean, if you're going to really rock our world, at least they're showing us how to rock our world. So we have little dance steps. And there is the new procedure does apply to all of our HAP contracts, with the exception of if you're in a mark-to-market situation. If you're in a mark-to-market use agreement, then you just stick with what you've been doing. Okay. The HUD requirements are beefier. That's part 9-15, and this will apply whether you're with the contract administrator or HUD. And I think, for the most part, everybody is with the contract administrator except for our Alaska projects. And so if we have some Alaska folks on the webcast today, this also applies to you. So there is a new owner appeal process. So first of all, we will have a decision letter. And it will be issued if there's a substantive issues with the rent comparability study that the appraiser just does not address in a timely fashion. I mean, there is some give and take at the onset. And then, like I said, it's very concise. You're given a 10-day response period, but you also have a two-tier appeal process. And like I said, it's very well spelled out. You know, everybody knows now. You know, there's no ambiguities if you need to appeal it. And the notification process is also more definitive. So it really should go more smoothly going forward. And I also included the appendices that will explain completing the rent comp study, which are always been there, but now there's also a glossary of terms. The sample RCS is a link now. It's not a printed one, so you can actually use the link, which is very nice. All the forms are now also links. They're not printed, so you can use those too. It's coming into the 21st century. Woo! There's a new sample appraiser's letter. Okay, so all the letters actually there's samples. The owner's letter, there's a sample too. You guys don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just pull it out and use it. And that way you also know that you're in compliance, right? And then what about those other 27 changes? And since I really don't have a lot of time today, we're going to go over just a helicopter overview. Most of them, yeah, most of them are clarification. And the first clarifications are, they validate what we've had as what I call customary policy, just how we've been doing it all along. Now it's actually finally written down. A couple of those are now your account executive can round up the time on agreements. So if you have this old agreement that expires on November 21st, we could kick it out to the 30th now, which is kind of nice, since we're going to pay you till the 30th anyway. Under option 4, the owner can terminate now and renew again under option 4. That's nothing new, but it's never been written down before, believe it or not. There's a company, rent comparability study is not required for subsequent mark-to-market. Like I said, we all kind of knew that, but it wasn't written down. And rent comparability study is not required for subsequent LIPRA or e-LIPRAs unless it's required in the POA. So that's our option 5 partners. Okay. Now there's some clarifications that further explain current policy. Things that are written down but weren't real clear. And of course we're always not real clear. But anyway, we're trying. We're still using 4350.1 to combine HAPs, but now it does state that you cannot combine HAPs that are not within the same fair market rent area. Okay, for obvious reasons. Partially assisted, the term partially assisted now has definitions, and it depends on which option you're using and so forth, but it is now tied to the CFRs, so there's no ambiguity there anymore either, and it clarifies that a 2028 that's been refied for the second time can be eligible for mark to market, and that might be a saving grace for some folks. So more changes real quick. There's some actual full-on revisions. Go through these really fast. The factor for R deposits is no longer the OCAF. It is Table 2, the AAF. That's under 2-16, and it does actually have links and so forth to where to find that, because I'm sure many of you don't even know what an AAF is. We haven't used them in a long time, but they're still there. There's going to be separate tenant notifications for the rent and the utility analysis. You can put them all together now. They don't have to be 2 separate ones. Everybody say, yay! And an option 5 project, that's our big P preservation, e-LIPRA and LIPRAs. You can do a mark to market now if it's a change in ownership. Okay. So some of our nonprofit owners might be interested in that. Technical revisions to the environmental review process in Chapter 15 transaction. I don't know that. I don't want to know. But if you're doing that, there's new revisions on that. And profit motivated entity criteria has been moved. So what used to be in the general eligibility criteria, it is still there if you're looking for it. It's been moved to the entitlement eligibility criteria. All these changes, by the way, there's a cover sheet on the new guidebook, so this is all there. You don't have to write all this down. Oh my gosh, what'd she say? It's in the guidebook on the front page. And finally, there's a few deletions I want to point out. They've deleted section 2-12 because it's now in 2013-17. They removed developer fee, that term, from the note on 215B. And they removed the text about managing general partners of an LLC, because there is no managing general partner of an LLC. It's a member. And ongoing assistance, this is pretty cool. They actually did YouTubes for, so you can go on YouTube, so you don't have to fall asleep. You can go on YouTube if you want just the general guidebook changes. There's a YouTube for that, and there's a YouTube for the new rent comparability study, the Chapter 9 stuff. So you can watch that there. And as Alexa said, this PowerPoint deck will be available later. And renewal questions, you can always contact your account executive. And I know we've been shuffling the deck a lot the last couple of years, and you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't even know who my account executive is anymore. That's okay. You can call any of us, or we do have now a link where you go on there and your account executive is broken down by state and then your property name. So you can find out who that is anytime. Or you can get a hold of me, because I'm a senior account executive and I'll get you the right place, okay? And if you have any questions, you're going to have to learn to live with them. I'm kidding. Put them on the note cards and we'll pick those up later, okay? And I thank you very much for your attention. And now I'm going to turn over to Jim Raymond, who's going to talk about tracks updates.
Thank you, Robin. I'm just quickly going to go over tracks updates. My name is Jim Raymond. I'm a branch chief here in the San Francisco Regional Office. If you didn't already know, we touched on this at all the AWA conferences this summer. There's going to be a new tracks update coming out in February. It's called Tracks 203A. It's going to be replacing 203D. There will be a 4-month transition period beginning in February, and then beginning in June, 203A will entirely replace 202D. So if you're still using 202D, they will be rejected. So there will be a 4-month transition period, so everybody can get up and running on the new version 203A. So what's new with 203A? There's a few things regarding repayment agreements. There's a new DUNS number requirement. There's new status updates regarding the difference between terminations and suspensions. And then the next two, the FAST triennial recertifications and the HAMA implementation, we're still waiting on guidance from headquarters. So as soon as we get guidance from headquarters regarding those two aspects of the update, that will be coming out as well, so keep your eye out. And then there will also be some new forms that should be coming out with the update that I'll go over shortly. The summary of the repayment agreement changes is there are 8 new fields on the form. They're the following here. I won't read through, but everybody should be getting a copy of the PowerPoint presentation as well if you signed into the list up front. We will be sending that out afterwards. But there will be 8 new fields, including record type, agreement end date, status, so on and so forth. So you should see that on the updated new form for the repayment agreements. There's also new voucher statuses. The definitions are here. There are 8 statuses that have to do with the update: active, completed, suspended, terminated, reversed. The definitions are here. And everybody should be getting a copy of the PowerPoint presentation if you want more information. Inactive, move out active, and move out inactive. For repayment agreements on the new version, if you have a new repayment agreement on the new version, the repayment agreement will also have to include a baseline. For any existing repayment agreements, they will have to include a baseline. For new repayment agreements reporting for the first time, a baseline is not necessary. So keep in mind that if you have an existing repayment agreement in effect, when you use the new update, you will have to create a baseline as well. And if there is a payment made on the repayment agreement at the same time, you enter that just right below the baseline. There's a DUNS number requirement that happened this summer as well. This is effective starting in December. So it has not denied your vouchers yet, but beginning in December, if you have not included a DUNS number on your voucher, they will be rejected. So please keep in mind that all the vouchers need the associated DUNS number with the project as well. Now there's a difference between terminations and suspensions. The summary here, there are, I think, 8 different termination codes. They're listed here, and then there's only 2 suspension codes. The difference between termination and suspension, obviously, is for a termination code, that is where the tenant is not going to be returning, and then the suspension codes suspends the payment due to natural disaster or ongoing rehab or renovation of the facility where the tenant will be moving back into the unit. Please also be on the lookout for some new forms, namely the 50059 Certificate of Compliance, the actual voucher, special claims forms, and the VAWA lease addendum. So please, once the update does come out at the beginning of next year, stay tuned for updated forms as well that you'll have to use. And that's all that I had on the tracks update. Thank you very much. I just want to now turn it over to Sapna Talati.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us here today or joining through the webcast. I'm going to talk about Connect Home, a new HUD program to bring low-cost internet to HUD-assisted housing. And before I begin, I was wondering, by a show of hands, does anyone here know or remember the Neighborhood Networks program? Okay, a few, that's excellent. Well, the Neighborhood Networks program was a program multifamily had in the 1990s where one of the units was taken offline and converted into a computer lab with internet access. And multifamily saw a lot of success with this program and with its residents, and we are now trying to build upon that success of bridging the digital divide through Connect Home. So what is Connect Home? Well, it was created in 2015 to bring affordable broadband access to HUD-assisted housing. It is a public-private partnership between HUD, internet service providers, nonprofits, public housing authorities, city governments, and hopefully soon enough, multifamily properties. You can think of Connect Home as the current version or modern version of Neighborhood Networks program, and it's already been implemented by the Office of Public and Indian Housing, so Public Housing has this program, and we're now trying to bring this program into a multifamily's portfolio. So Connect Home has 3 goals. The first goal is to bring affordable broadband to HUD-assisted housing, and we're doing that by partnering with internet service providers who have agreed to provide a very low-cost internet program. There's 2 more goals to Connect Home, and that's to provide digital literacy training and also devices, because what's the point of having low-cost internet if you don't even have a computer? And to achieve those, that second and third goal, we're also partnering with different nonprofits across the United States who have agreed to help us achieve this. So you might be wondering, why is Connect Home important? Well, statistically, families with the lowest income groups do not have access to broadband at home, which means many students living in our multifamily properties, assisted properties, go home who don't have internet at home. Which is a huge problem because education today uses the internet or relies on the internet so much. The internet is how students can access homework, it's how they conduct research, and it's how they communicate with their teachers and peers. An achievement gap can really develop between a group of students who can go home with access to the internet and a group of students who go home unplugged. So a survey found that the primary reason households do not have Wi-Fi or internet connection at home is because of the high cost. And if you're living in HUD-assisted housing and you're on a limited income, the cost of broadband may seem unaffordable. On average, broadband connections can cost between $35 to $100. And so through Connect Home, we're offering very low-cost programs, and we're also waiving the cost of the equipment. So Connect Home has partnered with different internet service providers to provide affordable internet to residents for about $10 a month per unit, and they're waiving the cost of the equipment. We've started expansion for multifamily in the West region. We're starting to target cities that were part of the original Connect Home pilot cities, as well as cities who have contacted us and asked if we'd be part of their outreach. However, the program is available to all HUD-assisted housing. So if you're interested and you're not in one of the pilot cities, just let us know and we'll let you know how you can get involved. So hopefully you're now interested in Connect Home and wondering how you can bring it to your property. Well, it's very easy and it only takes a few steps. The first step is to email us at connecthome.mfh@hud.gov. We will then send you an outreach packet that's customized to your property's address. So inside the outreach packet, it'll have information about ISPs, who are partners who offer service in your property's area, and also the nonprofits we're working with who are providing digital literacy training and devices in your property's area. The second step is, once you get that outreach packet, to share that information with your residents. And there's 2 ways you can do that. The first way is to contact the ISP and the nonprofits using the information on the flyer and invite them to come to the property and promote the program. Or the second way is to just make copies of the flyers we sent you and distribute them to your residents and let them contact the ISPs and the nonprofits directly. And the key to Connect Home is to make sure your residents know that these options are out there. There's an option to get internet for $10 a month. There's an option to get a refurbished computer for $100. There are options to get free tablets depending on your area. So we are asking our owners and agents to sign up for Connect Home and bring this information to your multifamily residents. And the last step is just to provide feedback. Just shoot us an email again and just let us know if this program is being helpful. We would appreciate it. So this is just an example of some of the ISPs we're working with and the flyers you might get depending on where your property is located. And you'll notice all of these deals are less than $10 a month. And as I said earlier, Connect Home has launched in public housing, and we've seen a lot of success with it. Here's a story about a real-life girl who was living in public housing in New York City who was struggling to do her homework after school. She was able to get access to the internet at home through Connect Home, and she's getting straight A's and she's enrolled in college. And we're really happy to see these benefits through Connect Home, and we want to bring it to our multifamily properties. So if you have any questions or want to sign up, please email us here. Okay, thank you. And now I'd like to introduce you to Nathaniel Hill. He's our Equal Opportunity Specialist in FHEO.
I'm just going to test run the remote real quick. Well, good morning. Thank you all for your attendance and your time and attention. Thank you to everyone who organized this for the invitation to come here and speak today. I always enjoy being out in front of people and talking about the things that I'm passionate about and the things I do on the daily. So as per my brief introduction, my name is Nathaniel Hill. I'm a member of the program's compliance branch in the Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity. On a near daily basis, I am reviewing these marketing plans. So I just wanted to share some of the insights I've gained from my experience doing that so we could sort of go through in a concise but still comprehensive way some of the patterns and problems and try to find some practical advice in how best to put together our plans to achieve success. All right, so why do we do these plans? So on a statutory level, the authority for the marketing plans can be found in a range of laws that we enforce in FHEO or in some executive orders. But I want to just focus quickly on more of the, what I would refer to as like the foundational why. What is the purpose that we're trying to achieve in doing these marketing plans? So as mentioned in Executive Order 11063, we do these plans, and forgive me for reading, to end discriminatory practices for properties receiving federal financial assistance. So at first, the purpose underlying these plans was reactive. It was to try and address the patterns that currently existed at specific sites and overcome those patterns. However, at this point, the plan is also a proactive tool. It is, in a sense, driving down our obligation to affirmatively further fair housing to a property or site-specific level to encourage property owners and their agents to take a data-driven approach to recognizing patterns that may exist at their property and what we can do to overcome those patterns or to prevent them from getting entrenched in the first place. All right, so I'm going to run through a bunch of these common mistakes. Each of these, except for the first one, has their own slides. So I'm just going to stop here quickly to talk about the proper identification of housing market areas. So as per the plan form itself, there's a definition to housing market area. And again, please allow me to read, but that definition is an area from which a multifamily housing project may reasonably expect to draw a substantial number of tenants. So I find most commonly that that is the city, and that once you identify your expanded housing market, which is a larger jurisdiction from which more diversity may be found, that the county then becomes the appropriate expanded housing market. However, you all presumably are property owners or agents or managers, and you know your properties better than I do. And in interconnected counties such as Alameda County, there may be a reason, a justifiable reason, why the county itself would serve as your housing market. There's means of transportation from which your tenants can rely upon to get to job centers from housing, whatever it may be. So your choice can be particular to your property. And for a rural property, you may use an even larger jurisdiction from where you draw your tenants. I would just ask that you justify your selection of housing market area and expanded housing market area. We want to see where you're drawing your tenants from and how you identify those areas from which you are drawing them. Data deficiencies. So this is one of the bigger things that we run into a lot during the review. So to sort of walk through these various things. 100% of tenant data is necessary for FHEO to do a thorough analysis of these forms. So what that says is if your tenants don't self-identify their race or their ethnicity, as uncomfortable as this may make you feel, you do have to make your best guess estimate at what their race and ethnicity is for reporting purposes. We need that 100% data in order to conduct this analysis. Similarly, we need you to provide 100% of the demographic data of your waitlist. Now, the reason that that is important is that may help show where your affirmative marketing efforts have been successful in the past or where they unfortunately have not been successful, and so where you need to rethink and redo these. If someone is underrepresented in your current tenant pool, but you see that they are well represented or overrepresented amongst your applicants, we can see then that you might not need to do affirmative marketing to that group moving forward. You've already successfully done so, hence your applicant pool, but that's why we need to see that data. Because if you don't report that out, and I see that X group is underrepresented and you're not proposing to market to them, then I'm not seeing the connection, and then I'm seeing that as a plan that's not successful and one that we cannot improve. The next point. So, and we'll get a little bit more into race versus ethnicity, but your 5 racial groups, as defined by OMB, must equal 100%, and that's independent of ethnicity. So the 5 racial groups at your property must equal 100%. As for census versus ACS, American Community Survey, for those who don't work regularly with data, I prefer the census. This office prefers the census because it is 100% data. The ACS is sampling and can have a much higher potential for error or margin for error. However, the ACS can be useful in 2 regards. The first is that the 2010 census does not often have usable disability data for reporting out on your housing market area. So then the ACS does have that. That ACS will show you percentages of individuals with disabilities in your HMA and your expanded HMA. The second way where the ACS may be beneficial is that it can capture demographic shifts that may not have been caught or may not have come to fruition during the last census period. So if your jurisdiction is one in which there have been these demographic shifts, then please use the ACS and please report to us or justify your selection of ACS as opposed to census data. I'm always going to default to reviewing with census data, and so there may be that discrepancy, and if I don't know why you're using ACS, again, it may seem as though that is grounds for disproving your plan. And so again, so this is based on guidance from OMB, which has been sent to HUD, and this is how we classify people. I recognize that it may be overly simplistic. It does not capture the full breadth and scope of racial and ethnic diversity and identity in America, but this is the metric that we use and that we're supposed to report out on. So we ask ethnicity first. We separate and independent of race. So first we ask that ethnicity question, and then we ask the race question. So again, this second, the green column is supposed to equal 100% on your reporting out form. Well, and just show as the left, because there's only the 2 ethnicities at this point. So then defining unrepresentation. As I was reviewing this before coming up here, I realized that I did make a mistake on the slide, so I apologize for that. So we are not looking for a deviation of 10%. We're looking for an approximate deviation of 10 percentage points. That may make it a little bit easier on people who are doing it, because then it's essentially just a subtraction. 50% of your population is X. There's 60% of that population in the housing market area. That's a deviation of 10 percentage points. So we're not looking for the 10% gap, but 10 percentage points. And sort of the second point I'll say, following off this last one, the don't designate all groups as least that could apply. One very common practice we'll see is if there is 0 of a specific demographic or protected class group in your current tenant pool, for that group to then be selected as requiring targeted outreach. However, if that group is also only an infinitesimal percentage of the broader population, then they're not underrepresented. If they only make up 1% of the housing market area, but 0% of your current tenant pool, they're not underrepresented by this 10 percentage point metric. So let's keep that in mind. Just because there's 0 of a specific group does not necessarily mean that they are then underrepresented. All right, so another thing that I find in reviewing these is that there is a unspoken belief that once the math of worksheet 1 is completed, once we've gone through and identified our groups who require the special or targeted outreach, that the plan is essentially done, that was the heavy lift was doing that math for worksheet 1. However, that is not the case. The operative word in this document is plan. We are trying to set forth a plan on how we in fact reach out or market to those groups that are underrepresented at our property. And some may make an argument, one which I would make, that community contacts and selecting appropriate ones is in fact the most integral part to a successful plan. Because arguably, the best way or the most successful way to reach out to potential applicants is by having relationships with those community groups that serve and work with those groups on a daily basis. So what we're looking for in this part of the AFHMP is for you to identify specific community contacts that work with the groups that you have identified in Block 3B. We don't want you to select general groups. The Housing Authority is not a community contact that works with a specific sub-demographic. You want, for lack of a better word, an interest group that deals with that specific sub-demographic that you've identified. So we want to see that you select an appropriate group, and we want you to justify why you've selected that specific community contact. What is their experience working with that community? Who is the point of contact? What is their contact information? What is the relationship going to be working with them moving forward to ensure that our affirmative marketing is successful? And so what I would ask is that you please ensure that you read the instructions on this worksheet and ensure that you hit all those points. There's a very specific list of information that the worksheet requires you to provide. And without that, we can't gauge whether or not your community contacts would in fact be successful. So spinning off that, so successful marketing. So just as with community contacts, the selection of appropriate methods of advertising requires effort in identifying means of marketing that in fact work with or market to. The San Francisco Chronicle does not market to a specific demographic. They are a general purpose or a general market newspaper. The Affirmative Fair Housing Marketing Plan is not a way for you to reiterate what your general marketing plan is. It's a way to establish what that affirmative marketing plan is. So we want to see that there are specific sources that you're using that have a successful track record of working with various demographic groups that you've chosen in Block 3B. However, also, in this affirmative marketing, based on what groups you've selected, you may need to be creative or you may need to introduce other means of advertising, including bilingual or multilingual advertising if you need to market to a limited English proficient population, or alternative means of advertising if you need to outreach to individuals with disabilities. Whatever your advertising ends up being, please provide copies of that advertising as a part of your plan for review. So similarly, include all documents that are requested. Those are the main things that are asked to come with. Just some other thoughts. Word of mouth is not a successful marketing scheme. It is not an affirmative marketing scheme. And the reason why is that very often word of mouth advertising can either create or perpetuate patterns of segregation. So we don't want word of mouth to be part of your affirmative marketing plan. So residency preferences in and of themselves could be a topic for an entire presentation. So what I'll just say briefly about resident preferences is that we have several concerns with them. So residency preferences can construct a barrier that prevents certain protected classes from moving to an area or moving to a property. They can act to entrench existing patterns of segregation. they can have a disparate impact against specific protected classes, and they can undermine your obligation to affirmatively further fair housing. So what I would say is, if you want a residency preference, if you're going to propose one, please understand that this will require a much deeper dive on our behalf and will require likely follow-up conversations with us about it. So I want to close out just going through resubmissions. Prior to my time here, there was sort of the default practice of submitting every 5 years. So that is not in fact the case. And hopefully this will save people some work. We have established a new memo in 2014 that defines when we're supposed to resubmit. So essentially, what the policy is, FHEO must review every initial AFHMP. And we must review every one after an owner's agent has done an analysis and found the current plan to be deficient. Those are the two situations we must review. If you've done an analysis and your current plan is not deficient, then keep that for your records, but you do not need to submit it back to FHEO for review. So break into what deficient could mean. So there are these two scenarios under which you must resubmit. This first one, what it essentially says is, if any of these first 3 bullet points occur, we've passed 5 years, your jurisdiction has released their con plan, or there have been significant demographic changes, then you must conduct an analysis. But it's only when the second point is hit that the owner or the agent, based on that analysis, has recognized a deficiency in the current plan, or the current plan's marketing and advertising has proved to be insufficient, then you submit. But we have to, that and is what's imperative here. You do the analysis, you recognize the deficiency, then you submit. Otherwise, again, keep that record for your personal use, and then keep doing it whenever one of those 3 comes up. The second resubmission scenario is whenever you are proposing a residency or some type of geographic limitation or preference. So again, we have to review those, we have to approve those. So, but only under those 2 different scenarios do you in fact resubmit to FHEO, resubmit to us for review. So if you have any questions on marketing plans in general, my branch here deals with all of Northern California, Nevada, and Hawaii, so you can contact me with any questions. There's the point of contact for our LA office, and they deal with Southern California and Arizona. And then for submission questions, just follow whatever your current practices have been, or if you have questions on how to submit, and contact your account executive, and they can walk you through how best to submit your plan. Again, thank you everyone for your time and your attention. I really appreciate it. And I'd like to introduce Maya Stevens.
Hi, I'm Maya Stevens, account executive, and I will be presenting an overview of the VAWA 2013 Final Rule Changes and Requirements. VAWA 2013 now applies to all privately owned HUD-assisted properties, including Section 202 and 811 PRACs. If a property does not receive HUD rental subsidy or does not have a subsidized loan, then that property is exempt. All requirements are now in effect. VAWA Final Rule was published in the Federal Register November 16, 2016, and the Housing Notice 2017-05 was published on June 30th of this year. Housing Notice 2017-05 provides guidance to owners and agents on how to implement VAWA Final Rule requirements. The notice does not encompass all aspects of the VAWA Final Rule and should be used in conjunction with the actual Final Rule. So next we'll take a look at summary of changes. A summary of major changes can be viewed in Section 4 of the Housing Notice, and Section 5 of the Housing Notice provides definitions and terms that are often referred to in the Final Rule, so be sure to familiarize yourself with those terms. Previously, sexual assault was not a VAWA-covered crime, but with the Final Rule, it's now considered a VAWA-covered crime. The Final Rule also implicates new requirements for the Notice of Occupancy Rights under the Violence Against Women's Act, which is Form 5380. The final rule also implicates that applicants and tenants may not be denied assistance or have assistance terminated on the basis of or as a direct result of having been a victim of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. The final rule also established requirements for creating an emergency transfer plan and for related record keeping and reporting. The emergency transfer plan was required to be implemented by June 14th of 2017. So at this time, all properties that that VAWA is applicable to should have an actual emergency transfer plan in place. The final rule was revised. The final rule also revised requirements for documenting the occurrence of VAWA crimes, which is now Form 5382. It also establishes reasonable time periods for a tenant who is a VAWA victim to remain in the unit while establishing eligibility or seeking alternate housing after a lease bifurcation. The final rule also clarifies that owners may establish preferences for victims of those VAWA crimes. The final rule also updated some existing forms and new forms were created. So the applicable forms are the HUD Form 5380, 5381, 5382, 5383, and forthcoming is the updated VAWA lease addendum. And all forms can be found on HUD clips and have been translated. All of the forms that are posted on HUD clips, some of them are expired, but we strongly encourage you to continue to use those forms until the updated forms have been provided. So you may ask, what exactly is this final rule all about? The final rule's focus is VAWA Protections. HUD housing programs may not deny or terminate applicant tenant assistance or tenancy on the basis or as a direct result of the applicant or tenant currently or having been a victim of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking, if the applicant or tenant otherwise qualifies for admission, assistance, participation, and occupancy. So who is actually eligible for VAWA protections? All applicants and tenants of HUD housing programs who are victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking, not limited to women and available to all, without regard of sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation, regardless of its acronym. So we need to know who is not eligible for VAWA protections. Guests, unassisted household members, and living aides are not eligible for protections. It is limited to tenants only. However, as a reasonable accommodation, a tenant can request VAWA protections if a living aide is a victim and may request an emergency transfer for the household. Keep in mind that a tenant cannot be evicted or have assistance terminated based on a guest or living aide being a victim of a VAWA crime. So next, which properties is this applicable to? Again, previously, not all programs were covered by VAWA protections. Now, since the final rule, all assisted multifamily housing programs and projects with subsidized loans are required to implement VAWA final rule. So next, I'll discuss the forms 5380 and 5382. HUD Form 5380 is the Notice of Occupancy Rights. This form must be used without changing its core protections and confidentiality rights. However, it can be customized to reflect specifics regarding the project and any other additional information that is used in the program that makes the VAWA Notice of Occupancy Rights more meaningful for your applicants and tenants. The Form 5380 must be distributed in conjunction with the 5382, which is the certification form, and they must be provided to the tenant or applicant at the following times: applicant denial of assistance, new move-ins, notice of eviction, and notice of termination of assistance. By December 15th of this year, each household must have already received these forms during its annual recertification. If the annual recertification has already passed and these forms were not issued, Those forms must be provided through other means no later than December 15th of this year. This requirement went into effect December 15th of 2016. The 5382 certification form replaces the HUD form 91066, which is now obsolete. So please discontinue using this form. So next I'll talk about the lease addendum. The 91067 VAWA lease addendum was revised to include some provisions of the VAWA final rule. The lease addendum will be provided to the current household at the next annual recertification and must be provided to new move-ins. When issuing these forms at annual recertifications, you're modifying the lease, and the tenant must be given a 60-day notice of lease modifications. Please refer to HUD Handbook 5340.3, Chapter 6 for notification procedure requirements that you have to follow. HUD is in the process of updating this form, and the current lease addendum does not include language for 202 and 811 Pracs. So if those properties want to wait until the new lease addendum is implemented, you can wait to implement the 91067 at that time. Owners may accept verbal requests for VAWA protection. However, all accepted requests must follow your written VAWA policy. So you have to have an actual written guide of procedures that your property is going to follow. The owner must request written certification or other documentation may be provided. The request for this information must be in the form of a written and dated letter. Simply providing the notification and certification forms is not considered your request to the victim for additional information. Again, your request needs to be in the form of a written and dated letter. If documentation is not submitted on time by the person seeking VAWA protections, there's nothing in the final rule to limit the owner's authority from evicting or denying assistance or terminating assistance when warranted. VAWA communication should be maintained in a secure, separate place from the tenant's file. Owners should document in the file the preferred method of communication, whether it be an alternate number or email, in case the abuser has access to the normal means of communication that you have with the tenant. Adverse factors. Final rule prohibits owners and agents from denying admission, terminating assistance, or eviction based on an adverse factor that is the direct result of the fact that the applicant or tenant is or has been a victim of a VAWA crime. Owners and agents may consider documentation of adverse factors resulting from being a victim that otherwise deems the individual ineligible. Some examples of adverse factors are the victim may have poor credit history as a result from the abuser having used the victim's credit or debit card, poor rental history resulting from early lease terminations or short-term leases, and criminal record resulting from the victim forced to write bad checks. The notice does include other adverse factors that you may consider as well. Please note the victim must provide the opportunity to provide VAWA protections documentation. If a denial or termination of assistance or eviction is required by a federal statute based on a particular adverse factor, the owner must comply with that statute even if the adverse factor is a direct result of a VAWA crime. So for example, if an applicant is subject to a lifetime state offender registration, then the applicant must be denied. Just keep in mind that if VAWA protection is denied, the owner must follow the project's already established grievance procedures. So next, I will discuss lease bifurcation. The occurrence of a VAWA-covered crime may lead to a breakup of the assisted family. A family breakup involves terminating assistance of the perpetrator while continuing assistance to the victim. In the Notice 2017-05, bifurcate means to divide a lease so that certain tenants can be evicted or removed, and the remaining tenants or lawful occupants can continue to remain and reside in the unit under the same lease requirements. When you bifurcate a lease, the new lease for the remaining family member is a brand new 12-month term, regardless of how much time was left on the existing lease. Lease bifurcation does not apply to guests, unreported household members, or anyone who is not a tenant. Some jurisdictions may prohibit partial or single tenant evictions. In order to avoid unnecessary delays in the bifurcation process, HUD recommends that the owner agent seeks a court-ordered eviction of the perpetrator pursuant to applicable laws. Next, I'll discuss actual and imminent threat. As defined, actual and imminent threat is a physical danger that is real, that would occur within an immediate time frame and could result in death or serious bodily injury. The owner agent must have objective evidence of words, gestures, actions, or other indicators of such a threat. However, nothing in the final rule may be read to limit authority of the owner agent to terminate assistance or evict the tenant if the owner agent can demonstrate that an actual imminent threat to other tenants or those employed at or providing services would be present if the tenant or lawful occupant is not evicted or terminated from assistance. An eviction or termination of assistance should only be used by an owner agent when there are no other actions or remedies available to reduce or eliminate the threat. But keep in mind, an owner agent must enforce the lease to ensure peaceful enjoyment of the premises by the other residents. Some ideas to reduce and eliminate threat other than eviction or termination of assistance are bar the perpetrator from the property where local and state laws permit, change the victim's laws where pursuant to the owner agent's lot replacement policy and pursuant to state and local laws, encourage victims to seek an emergency transfer or allow an early lease termination, and also help the victim access available services. So next, I'll discuss emergency transfer plans. Okay, so there's internal and external emergency transfers. An internal transfer is relocation of a tenant to another unit at the same property where the tenant may move in without completing a new application. External emergency transfer is the relocation of a tenant to another unit and they must meet eligibility requirements for the other property, where the tenant must complete an application process at the different property. The VAWA final rule requires owners and agents to adopt an emergency transfer plan based on HUD's Model Transfer Plan, Form 5381. In this model form, VAWA 2013 requires owners and agents to assist victims in making internal and external transfers when possible. Again, owners and agents were to adopt an emergency transfer plan no later than June 14th of this year. The current Model 5381 does not contain all required criteria as stated in the final rule. If you solely use the model form, you will need to add more criteria. Adoption of the model plan without further information will not be sufficient to meet your responsibility to adopt an emergency transfer plan. The 5381 should be used in conjunction with the housing notice and the final rule. More tips are in section 11 of the housing notice. So next, I'll discuss preferences. An owner agent may establish an admission preference for VAWA victims. However, VAWA is not a mandated preference. If the owner decides to adopt this preference, the owner agent does not need HUD approval to adopt the VAWA preference, as this is an acceptable owner-adopted preference. The owner agent must modify their tenant selection plan, and it will be reviewed during the management and occupancy review. The owner agent may establish a waiting list priority for internal transfers. and will need to amend the tenant selection plan for priorities of the internal transfer waiting list. So the only way to put a borrowing or transfer top of a waiting list is if you have a pre-existing preference in your tenant selection plan. If you don't add a VAWA preference in your emergency transfer plan, they will go to the bottom of the waiting list. If you decide to add the preference, do so according to the HUD Handbook 4350.3. HUD enforcement. HUD enforcement will review VAWA claims, policies, and transfer plans during on-site management and occupancy reviews and off-site desk reviews. And you must comply with all applicable fair housing and civil rights laws in implementing VAWA requirements, and provide reasonable accommodations for people with disabilities to VAWA policies and procedures, and ensure access to and accessible versions of VAWA documents to LEP, limited English proficiency individuals and people with disabilities. And that's it. And so if you have any questions, you can email me, Maya, maya.a.stevens@hud.gov, and I'll be around for the meet and greet as well. And there's some very thorough trainings on YouTube. If you just search VAWA in the search box, they'll pop up, and those are the official titles of the videos. So that's it. And next is Julie Eklund, Resolution
Thanks, Maya. So I'm your last official speaker, and I know that we have had a lot of really meaty training this morning, and everybody is desperate to have Gwen's treats. But I know you're going to want to hear this, and I'm going to be super quick, because I'm going to talk to you about matchmaking and free money, sort of. If you are on the listserv, and I hope everybody is, you have already gotten, I think a few months ago, an email that talked about sending in a letter of 8BB interest. 8BB is not a new program at all. It's been around since 1937, and it allows us to, if we have an owner who is opting out either wholly in part with their Section 8 contract, and they have another owner that has unsubsidized units, and they want to make a deal, they can come to us, and if it is appropriate, we can transfer that budget authority. But it hasn't happened very much. So we are taking it into the 21st century with a kind of Match.com thing, as far as HUD can do it. So if you send in a letter of interest, we take that information, we put it together by state, and when we have owners who are opting out, either completely or in part, we can give them that information with your permission, and hopefully you can just get together and make beautiful things happen. Now, obviously, this is regulated by the notice, and if you look in your agenda, it has that notice information in there, because it's, nothing in life is ever that simple. And also, getting on this database is not the only way that you can do it. If, for some reason, you have an ownership entity that is affiliated with another project that needs this funding and they make a deal separately, again, you can come to HUD and make a request to have that transfer done. So I'm just putting the word out. I would like to have more of you on this list. Now, right now, as you can imagine, in the West region, we don't have a ton of people who want to get rid of their subsidy. But one thing that I'm hoping to come back and speak to you about in the future is we're working on arrangements that would allow us to transfer this when we have departmental enforcement actions. And I think that will open up a lot more opportunities for this kind of thing to happen. So what does this letter of interest look like? If you've got the listserv, you would have seen it. This is up here. This is not going to be helpful for you looking at it. That's not why I did it. But everyone is going to have access to this, and so you can go back in the future look at this PowerPoint and it will have all of that information. And basically we made it as simple as we possibly could. You have the information on the project in question, if it's affiliated with HUD, what the information is, the IRMS number, the FHA number, and so on. Doesn't have to be currently HUD affiliated, so if it's not, then you would just, that information would be blank. And then the owner provides consent for us to give that information out to potential owners. We call it owner A, an owner that would be transferring subsidy. You send that to SF Incoming. Not your regular account executive is not going to be handling that. Someone who is involved in the APB program will be handling that. And I think that is everything. So made it as quick as I could. Obviously, if you have any questions, I'm julie.w.eklund, no C, just K, E-K-L-U-N-D, and I'm happy to answer, or you can put it on a little piece of those cards, index cards, and that will get to me as well. And then I'm going to bring up Alexa for some closing remarks before we stack. So thanks again.
Thanks, Julie. So we're very close to the end and to some delicious homemade treats. But I know we had a few questions, and those are already circulating out, those of you who wrote down questions. So I know there was one. Those of you, the speakers who got questions, you want to come up and answer your questions? Maya, I think, was there a Connect Home question, Sapna? And then once the questions are done, we're going to have everybody get up and scooch over, and we're going to set up snacks over here. All right, Maya.
So the question is, does VAWA apply to issues between tenants and neighbors that have to do with harassment and noise issues? If the victim says, I am a victim of a VAWA crime, it's a covered, domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking, then that would be considered a VAWA protected crime. So, if they say VAWA crime and it's a covered crime, then yes. So it just depends, on how they, just a regular, oh, my neighbor is harassing me, blah, 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 then no. But if they say I am a VAWA victim and it's a protected VAWA crime, then yes.
Thanks, Maya. Sapna, you want to come up? And then we have one more. I don't know who else the third one was. Oh, Nathaniel.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm going to need clarification on this question. It asks the old neighborhood networks allow people living around our properties to come into our site to use the computers. I don't, yeah.
Yes, and we still do that. We're a senior community,
okay.
And many of our residents, 80%, receive IHS workers. And so what will happen is IHS worker, in order to work, will bring their children to our computer learning center, and they stay there while the mother's usually doing the work. We allow them to use the computer. We have people around in our neighborhood who are out of work, and they will come and look for jobs online, and we understood that that was allowable under Neighborhood Network.
Oh, definitely. Oh, sure. I'm sorry. For anyone joining the webcast, the question was: Is it allowed for people who don't live at the property to use the technology provided through the Neighborhood Networks program? And yes, that's wonderful that you're allowing that. Just to throw something in for Connect Home here again, if you're interested in bringing Connect Home to your property so you can have internet access within the units, please email us at connecthome.mfh@hud.gov.
This is a great question, whoever asked this. I'm really happy with this one. So, do you allow looking at subgroups for census data? For example, the general population makeup different from the senior population makeup when marketing for senior housing? Fantastic question. So in filling out worksheet 1 where you're reporting demographic data, please still just use the housing market area or expanded housing market area and not the subgroup. However, in, I believe it's block B, there's additional considerations. That is the place where I would make note of how different your senior population subgroups may be from the housing market area. I think one way where this comes up a lot is often housing that is specifically for individuals with mental health disabilities who only receive residents that are placed with them. And so oftentimes their subgroup demographics will be vastly different than housing market areas. You still need to look at the housing market area, but that's a situation in which in Block B you would report out that your tenant selection is based solely on assignment by referral from whatever health agency it may be, and then you can talk about why your demographics may be different. Oh, you got two.
I got another question. So the question is, on 202 and 811 properties, can we still use the HUD 91066 until the new 91067 is ready? No, the 91066 is obsolete. So you would continue using your current lease addendum already in place, and then once it's been updated, then you would implement the new 91067. But no one should be using the 91066. It is obsolete.
All right. If we give all our presenters a big round of applause, please. All right, so thank you all so much. For those of you watching online, thank you for participating, and for anybody if you get any questions about this, there'll be a link available tomorrow, so this will all be on YouTube. Everybody, please stick around. We're going to do just a half-hour meet and greet. There's going to be some refreshments, and then there's a training with Kahi on MOR, common findings on MOR's tips and tricks at 1 p.m. So please stick around. I'm going to ask everybody, at least on this side of the room, if you could get up and move over to this side. Thank you. That'll conclude the webcast. Thank you very much.